Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome for the second panel discussion of the week. We are broadcasting live from Geneva, from Palexpo, actually, in the very heart of the Watches and Wonders Salon, with the big stands, the big brand stands staying just a few steps away from us. We're very happy to welcome you today. We will be talking about sustainable sources and practices, and we will see how the industry can make better on the subject, on the topic. What can they do better? How can they do better? To answer these questions, I have with me a few panel guests that I will introduce to you in a few seconds. Let's go meet them. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you on our set today. Thank you for accepting the invitation first. So I will introduce, first of all, Pauline Eveco. Did I say that right? Perfect. Head of Corporate Sustainability at Chopard. And to say Chopard is a pioneer in responsible sourcing, so we're very happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next to you is Lieselotte Thuring from Panaterr. You are project manager at Panaterr, and this is a firm producing recyclable and solar steel. You will explain to us how does that work and how that can help the whole industry. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
And then we have our famous Benjamin Tesser. You all know him already. He's with us every day, but today you're here as an expert. Benjamin, you are a journalist. You live in Switzerland. You're passionate about watches and sustainability. So thank you for being our expert today.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Yeah, so let's start right now. But before going into the debates, I would like to tell you, as you know it already, that we are expecting your questions. Please send them to us through the chat box, and we have Pascal Ravsou who will collect the questions and pass them to me. Hi, Pascal, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
So today you're on your own.
Yes, but I think I can manage.
Yeah, you will do that for sure. So good luck, and if you want to give us some questions, send it by the audience. Just make me a sign and I will come back to you.
Of course.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on right now and let's start with the topic of the day. We are talking about sustainable sources and practices. And I think, first of all, we should try to define the question, set the frame, and I'm turning to you, Benjamin.
Yes.
What can you tell us about it?
Well, I think it's important to understand that sustainability has to be seen under three different angles. There's the environment angle, so our impact and how we reduce it. The social angle is how we increase our positive impact through what we do. And finally, the governance angle, which is the leadership that takes us all together in that direction. I still often get the impression that people believe that because we are doing watches that are supposed to be sustainable in essence, there is no impact from the business. I'd like to give a few figures to show what the impact really is. There's about 4,500 tons of gold demand globally. Of that demand, half is used by watches and jewelry. So it's not neglectable. You can say, okay, how it impacts? Well, to produce 1 ton of gold, you emit 12,500 tons of CO2. To produce 1 carat of diamond, you emit half a ton of CO2, and there's 110 million carats produced every year. So with that, you cannot say that we have no impact, and therefore we have a responsibility, and therefore we need to address it. And the sourcing side of the business represents 80% of the impact of the industry. So that's why it's a very important topic to address.
So we understand there is 3 axes, and maybe I should turn to you, to Chopard. You're representing Chopard today. What are you concretely doing in that field to address these 3 different axes?
I think it's very important to emphasize that sustainability is not only about environment. It's about these 3 pillars. So it's very important when you choose as well the material you want to source. because sometimes we have the tendency to go only on the environmental recycled content, etc. So it's important, of course, but let's take the global picture and look at the social and governance aspect as well. And it's very true. When we launched the journey to sustainable luxury in 2013, so a couple of years ago, of course, it was also the objective to work on sustainable sourcing for key raw materials and to realize as well, I think that was really key to realize that we have a responsibility in our supply chain, that we don't only have the responsibility on the manufacture of the product, but that what is actually behind that, where our material come from. And it was launched because Caroline Schöffele, our co-president, was speaking to Livia first and said, okay, actually, where your gold come from? And she had actually at the time no idea about really the sourcing. So it all starts from there. And today, yeah, we are working on this continuous improvement. I heard that in your panel yesterday. I think it's a journey, and it's not a journey for nothing. It's a journey because it takes time. It's a continuous improvement. Again, yesterday was said very well that nobody's perfect, that we are working towards these objectives. So yeah.
But what makes it really interesting at Chopard is the fact that you actually started very early working on these topics. So it's not new to you. I mean, you started in 2014 with the LUC Tourbillon QF watch, which was made of recycled materials. And then you had also the whole production that was ethical gold in 2018.
True.
So you are actually already on this journey. How do you see the difference today? Is there a difference today, or it's just keeping on the same path?
Well, you keep him, again, that's a journey because, of course, we had some achievement. I think the 2018 commitment on 100% ethical gold, it was a commitment, but actually we worked on this couple of years before. It's not like in one day that you can say, okay, I have 100% of ethical gold in our production. So of course, it took many years to work on that. And we're still improving. I think it's the same path in a way that we are increasing the traceability work, trying to be more transparent. I think was well described as well yesterday, or before yesterday. So it's there are new challenges, of course, because we work on climate change. We have a very important impact on climate change in our Scope 3, the Scope 3 emission in our business. So the supply chain is very exposed to that. So there are new things coming in the spot, but yeah, it's probably a never-ending process as well. So yeah.
But anyway, for sure now, and I think we can say it for everybody here around the table, this is a topic that you must address. This is not a choice anymore.
Absolutely. There's no time to waste anymore. We all know where we're supposed to go. It's really time that everybody goes together hand in hand in that direction.
At Panaterr, Lieselotte, you a little bit on the other side of the field, if I can say so, because you are producing something that you are, I think, the only ones to produce this way, at least. Can you tell us a bit about it and explain to us how you're producing and who you can address your materials to?
Well, Panaterr has started his journey about 5 years ago. And we have developed a new business model actually in the circular economy. And we have developed the metal that is most consumed in the watch and jewelry industry. So we have developed a 100% recycled stainless steel. And our goal was to stop using the energy, so from coal or from gas. So we really wanted to use a renewable energy. And the second challenge was that we did not want to add any mineral or chemicals in our production. So Voilà, the principles of circular economy are to turn waste into a resource and to turn cost into revenues. So we have been building a whole concept around this circular economy to be able to provide the luxury industry with a sustainable and economical new material.
So we can really see that in your case, this is really cradle to cradle. This is thinking from the start till the end of the chain.
We have revised the whole manufacturing process, including, of course, the efficiency of the energy used, and the fact that we did not want to use any earth resource.
And what was the trigger? How did you come up with this business model?
Well, it came from a problem, actually. So when you have problems, you start to be very...
You need to find solutions.
you become very creative,
Yeah.
So, well, actually, we had recurrent problems on our productions at the moment of the polishability. So when we were polishing our products, we already got problems on the finishing material. So we had to find a solution because it was graving our treasury and we had to start again over making the components. So we thought we have to find out how we can make this steel better. Mm-hmm. So we went to see around behind our doors to see our scrap, and we thought, okay, where is our scrap going? So we did the whole way up to where the material was finally melted and put into bars again. But that material, that scrap, went around the world more than 20,000 kilometers.
Wow.
And we thought, this is just not possible.
For sure.
We go around the world, and comes back in a mediocre quality, and we have to start over again and again. So we say, no, now we stop, and let's find a solution to transform this waste. I don't like the word waste anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a raw material now for us.
That you can use.
That we use to revalorize and to make a whole new product which is 100%
This is
recycled.
really the circle,
We're
you know,
closing the loop.
reuse. Exactly.
And with this scenario of recycled steel, but also solar, because it's melted with the solar technology, we can reduce our impact of 165 times.
That's huge.
Voilà. So
It's huge. Benjamin, does
it's
that
like
mean...
I just love the example of Panaterr because for me it really shows what's possible to do. There's a lot of technological innovations that are available that are not used, and I think the way you do business with steel is probably relatively simple to adapt to gold. I'm sure there's some complexity about it, but it's a very interesting way to use that recycled gold. Recycled gold represents in the consumption of gold nowadays only 25 to 30% depending on the year. So it's already substantial, but it could be used in a better way, and the circularity it creates is phenomenal to reduce the impact of the industry. So I think that's a way of thinking that needs to be developed, promoted, so that other people come to it. And the other point is that the scale that is needed, because we're talking about the certification of gold, which is great, ethical gold is great, but honestly it represents a very small portion of the business that's done. How do we scale it up? How do we make it better at larger volumes? I know you at Chopard you work a lot with artisanal and small businesses. How do you get them to do more? How do you get more people aboard?
Let's ask Chopard.
No, I think first collaboration is really important. I think you don't go alone as a company, directly to the mine. There's a supply chain. There's a number of actors. We work with refiners. They are very competent companies that have the skills to go on the ground, to find the mines, and to put us in this chain. So we work a lot with the Swiss Better Gold, for instance. And this is a very successful project, I think. Again, I know that it can be a bit frustrating sometimes because, again, it takes time to reach a certain volume. These are really increasingly complex projects. It's international supply chain overseas in some countries, sometimes with difficult countries. So it takes time, but again, with this type of public-private partnership, you can really build supply chain, sustainable supply chain. Again, the time is important because if you want that to last also, that's important because if you want to do things quickly, then it might end quickly as well. So you have to take time to build a relationship between these people, the companies that are in the supply chain. This is really important.
A long-term vision.
A long-term vision, and also that these mining communities can also trust, the end buyer. So that's one point. The other point, just to finish that, is the demand. The demand is absolutely key as well, and I think working with the Swiss Butter Gold, we learned that also pretty well because the success of the organization is as well to try to put that in balance, to find the sources, that's absolutely key, but it's also to find the clients, and the demand is important. So indeed, talking about these initiatives is very important also to build the trust that other brands can also feel confident, in buying this type of gold and not saying, okay, this is ASM, this is small-scale mine. Oh my God, this is going to be risky. And so, we have to be positive, we have to be proactive, and to talk about these things. And
It's really interesting to see, does the demand drive the offer, actually? We will try to answer this question in a few seconds, but I have to turn to Pascal because you have a question from our audience.
Yes, speaking about scalability, the audience is asking if the steel produced by Panaterr can or could, with time, cover the needs of the industry, only them or with other suppliers?
Okay, so I'm asking you, Lieselotte, can you cover all the needs?
Yes, well, the whole concept is actually based upon the microtech market. We have set up a network with different suppliers from the medical and watch industry to collect and to the scrap and to have sufficient volume. But since we have started to do that, we are getting more and more amount of scrap to recycle because everybody in the watch, a lot of people in the watch industry and medical industry are calling us to say, hey, come by and we give you our scrap. So since we have been collecting and sorting that waste, that raw material and selecting it, we are getting more and more volume. So
Do you have facts? Do you have numbers? How much did it increase?
well, we are in the beginning. We needed to, for the first 50 tons, we had to bring together in one shade. We needed 6 months.
Okay,
So today, in 1 month, we have everything.
all right.
So, and the ambition of Panaterr is to melt down 400 tons a year by 2026.
Okay, that's soon.
And it's in adapted quantities, especially for the microtech industry.
The other question would be, would that work for other materials? Can we do that with gold, for example? I read your thoughts,
that's
right?
a good question, yes.
Well, yes. The whole concept again with the solar power technology we are using, we could melt every material.
Okay.
But now we are focused in the microtech area, so we have been melting down the steel, and we have done titanium right now, which is also a light
With
material.
good results?
With 100% titanium. We have done laboratory examples until now. But when we will inaugurate the solar furnace this year in September, we will also industrialize titanium productions,
Okay.
also over the years. And many other materials will follow because this concept will be multiplied. Yes.
Benjamin?
Yes, I think it's interesting to see that the concept can be developed in other ways. But the scalability of the recycle is something that's very important. The scalability on the other side of extracting gold is also something that's needs to be developed. Here you're getting raw material, they're giving you raw material for free. Gold, they're digging for gold. How do you get more small businesses to do it? Obviously it has a cost not to work the old ways. Who bears that cost? Obviously
Social
they cannot.
costs, environmental costs.
Yes, you have, at some point brands have to get their hands dirty and participate into having more people join. Is that something that we're seeing? Is that something that, you're here, so we're asking you, but it's something that could be asked to the whole industry. What do you do to help the people at the basis, to help them? Should we review the value chain or the way the value chain is distributed? Is there something to be done on that side?
What is your point of view at Chapa?
I think the initiatives existing, such as Fair Trade, the Fair Mind, the Swiss Better Gold, that's pretty much the concept, actually. It's like you ask the end client to pay a premium to be paid back to the mining communities. So basically the concept was for the brand to pay this premium, but also to make sure in this initiative that the mining operations got a fair price as well. So this is certain for the Swiss Better Gold. The system is that with the premium, 15% of the premium is then paid back to a certain common pool to help the miners that are step one, because step one, a certain number of criteria, to go to the step two. So it's an escalator process. And so part of this premium is to help with the technical assistance, these miners, to go up the step, if I can say. So it's a very inclusive system, and that's what we need, actually. Is like, to answer your question, is like you need to be inclusive to help financially these miners to of course...
but we see that it hasn't generated as much as we need to really make a difference.
So let me ask you a question. Do we need to go to certification, mandatory certification, for example?
What do you mean by mandatory? By
By law.
By law? Yeah, but it's difficult, to then oblige companies to buy from ASM communities or artisanal mine gold. I mean, the thing is again, that's why I think it's important to put in the balance this ESG and the E and the S, because the thing is to say, okay, let's all shift to the recycled gold. Of course, recycled has a lower environmental impact. This is certainly what we need. I think your initiative is absolutely crucial as well to tackle non-precious metals in this regard. But yes, you have to take into consideration that there are this social aspect and that you have to tackle that. But again, that's very so it's important to talk about it. But at the end of the day, that's the decision of companies, and that's the decision of companies to say we cannot oblige them to buy this gold. So the only thing we can do is through these initiatives. And again, I really believe in this certification and this accreditation process to create the confidence that you can also have an impact, positive impact, and not only to finish on that, but not only on the social, but on the environmental, because the premium also help to invest in environmental projects, also energy transition for these exploitations. So it's very, very important as well to engage with these operations to also tackle the climate change issue. So I think it's an old virtuous
But Pauline, then it's a mindset story more than a legal story, if I get you right.
Yeah, again, that's you have to put in balance. I mean, I know if you make reference to the debate on your first panel on law and certification, I think we need both. Very honestly, I think really we need both. I think self-regulation went quite well. I really think that companies made really great effort. You can see in our industry, people were really moving, and I think it was really good to see. But as a matter of fact, today it's not enough. So
So
it's
how
not enough.
do we go
So,
further?
so,
How
so
do
you can, but again, that's okay. That's the legal framework. This is very important. I think for climate change, we will need more laws, more regulations. But you also have, I mean, business, and business have a liberty as well to choose their strategy and to choose what they buy.
Benjamin,
So.
I interrupt you a short amount of time. We have some questions coming from Pascal, another set of questions.
Yes, we have we had the same question for the legal framework, which has been answered yes. Into certification, maybe it's a bit early in the panel to discuss that, so maybe you can take this into consideration. So many certification, how can it be harmonized to make it clearer for the consumer?
And that's a very good one, because this is a question of harmony, because if everybody does its own thing in its own little part, how do you then put that all together to have something clear, to have something transparent for the customer? Who would like to try to answer?
I think it's a key point, and we're seeing that it's coming back on every panel. I'm sure it'll be coming back in the next panels that we discuss. We have, at some point, the industry has to come together. I know it's crazy to do that, to say that for the watch industry, because it's not a tradition, but we see that mentalities are changing. We see initiatives like the initiatives of the 2030 with Cartier and Kering that started. That's a great sign. It means that competitors actually can come together with a common goal and work together to achieve that goal, and set very ambitious goals and try to go further than where we are today. Obviously, we all understand how critical the issue is and how urgent it is. And we know that the only way to do it is to do it together. So whether it's through creating a new certification that brings together everybody, or that's a new entity that's created outside of the watchmaking industry, but accepted by everybody, saying, okay, this is the standard. This is the standard for everybody. Let's all work together towards it. It all stems from the governance, the G, once again, to have people come together and think collectively about the problem, the real, very big problem that's right in front of us and that we cannot ignore anymore. But I see a lot of very good signs that it wasn't the case like 2 years ago. So there's some hope out there. So that's a good sign.
Pascal, I just wanted to know if you had some more questions.
Not for the moment.
Not for the moment. We'll come back to you in a while. Let's move on maybe to what the customers ask, what the industry asks. Do you have brands coming to you and asking what you can bring them? Do you have this kind of feedback?
Yes, well, of course. Today we are recognized as an industrial pioneer in circular economy. So I think it's really the good time today, and the mindsets, as you said, are changing. So I think we arrive at the right time, in the right moment, with the right product, with our experience as a subcontractor, manufacturing components for different brands. So.
And you also have a know-how that other industry players don't have.
Yes, we have a know-how now. We have been learning a lot for the last 5 years, now almost 6.
You've been learning fast.
Well, thank you. But we could not have done this on our own. We have been collaborating a lot in Panaterr. We are still a small team working on our daily business. But we are more than 60 people right now who have embarked in this project, and who we call them the possibilists, because they made it possible for us to go forward step by step and to be where we are today. So we have been collaborating with the engineer schools in Lausanne, in Zurich. We have been working with the national research in France. So to go a step further, because we are not specialists in metallurgy, in the environment. We had to really surround ourselves with those people and also with young startups with crazy ideas. We have collaborated together to develop something that really makes sense. And all the people we have been talking about, they all have given us their time, or maybe a couple hours a week, but just to be in the project and to go together forward.
Pauline, as we said before, with Chopard, you were pioneers in fair mining, in ethical gold, and so much more. When you hear that, do you see yourself collaborate with this kind of new players? Could you use this kind of material? Is that in the goals you are setting to the brand?
Of course, we're always looking, for better material, I would say, or for innovative project, that's for sure. But just I wanted to say that I feel really that it's a great model, because they really, sustainability is their business model, and that's where we all at the end of the day want to go as well. So I find it very inspiring as well. And I think when we launched the journey, but the ethical goal commitment, that is also something that was great to see for Chopard, because it was part of the core business also of the Maison. It was not philanthropy or just we want just to give some premium and to send some money to mining communities. It was really part of a business project. We create pieces with this gold. It's really part of the strategy. So I think we really need to move towards this type of model. That's for sure. So.
And this is the part about what you're doing as practices, but then you have also communication on these practices. Do you have also new goals on the topic, or you're just following, as I said before, the same path?
We always said when we launched this ethical gold commitment that we wanted to increase the proportion of artisanal mine gold in our sourcing. So this is the goal this year, to reach the 60% of ASM gold in our fine gold sourcing, versus 40%, which is certified recycled gold, basically. So we want to really have, we are now pretty much at 40-60 on the opposite, and which is already a good achievement. We want to go a bit further and go reaching this 60%, also to prove that it's possible to have some volume from these communities.
That's
first.
the thing.
And
Is
I
it
think,
possible, really?
And it is possible, because we have this already reached 40% of ASM gold in our sourcing, so it's possible. But yeah, you have to work on your supply chains. You have to work with your partners, with your business partners. So it's a journey, because it's not just like, oh, okay, in 2018 we had this commitment, and now we have 100% ethical gold, and life is going on. It's not how it works, really. So people, the team at Chopard, they're all working very hard for that to happen and to keep happening. So is that you cannot really lose the focus, and you have to work on that. So
it is possible to increase the volume, but not at the cost of the minorities you're working for.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, you have to really, this is why we wouldn't work, we work in the framework of these initiatives, because it's really well built, it's inclusive model. Again, what I was saying with the premium, it's a very, closed loop system, also to give the incentive to other communities to get on board. So I think it's possible, and it's possible and we see the change, actually. I mean, because what is the beauty of these projects, that you see the change on the field. So we visited the mines. We will regularly also in the future, but you see really the impact you're creating through these initiatives with these different business partners. So it's not only the brand, but of course there are multiple great partners on the ground. So.
Benjamin, where do you see some works that still needs to be done?
I think there's a lot of work to be done on communication, and because communicating about these issues towards the final public is very important because it's education. And it's a pull and a push. We talked about it yesterday, but it comes from inside with the governance of the companies. It comes from outside with the more people are going to ask about it, the more companies are going to feel they're forced to do it. So it's a very positive sign to see people like Chopard willing to speak more openly about it. And I think that's one of, there's a lot more that can be done, obviously, on the communication. You know, I've been trying to write about it for years, and finally I can do some work today. But it's a good sign that there's.
Never give up, for sure.
No, never give up. You can't give up. We're facing a wall. We can't give up. So everybody has to go together in that direction. And I think showing that you're willing to speak about it and show your process, show that it's not a perfect process, but that it takes will, it takes time, it takes money. Coming back to money, if there is a luxury, if there is an industry that has the money, it's luxury. I mean, use it for the better also. You know, it will be better for the bottom line at the end of the day. But helping creating a virtuous circle in the supply chain is the basis of the system to reach that circular economy that would be great to finally stop just throwing things away and wasting the environment. So that's we're going that way, but we need
of influence as well, because
The
the aura of the brands are incredible as well. That's what we see.
You have to be examples, actually. You have to set an example, be a driver, and show the way.
I don't know if today, again, as I said, I mean, we know that we have a lot of brands working in the right direction. You mentioned the initiative, for instance, and I think there are a lot of collaborations as well. I mean, we worked with the industry on the color gemstones working group, for instance. It's a group, you know, tackling really the problem of the color gemstones. We work with other also brands in the Swiss Better Gold Association. So collaboration, I think it's really also moving, very important. But on the communication, again, that's indeed there are like space for improvement. That's definitely what we can say. But we are trying to do more. But I think, you know, discussing on a panel, answering to students' questions. That's what we do also very often to answer the media, the press, talking to NGOs as well. We're trying to be open-minded, also to be open to NGOs. That's part of the work. That's not only just, you know, doing a CSR report, but it's just also talking to multi-stakeholders.
Yeah, it's acting on many different levels.
Many different levels. So sometimes it's clearer as well when you talk to people directly than through reports. So.
We have a question from Pascal, I guess from our audience. What made them reacting?
Yes, actually a reaction more than a question about what we spoke just before about communication, and someone saying that it's the brand's responsibility to educate the people on the subject and not the opposite. So they have the feeling that it's actually the opposite. And a question about collaboration. Since it is so complicated to address this in a very fast way, wouldn't it be possible for the brands to collaborate more?
I guess we have to ask you, Pauline.
Again, I think it's you need to find a right balance, I would say. I think collaboration is key. Again, I repeat really, because it is. You really find problem together for complex issues, definitely. But you also have to consider that you have to tackle as well your issues as a company, your challenges. You have to take time and resources as well to move forward on your strategy, on our strategy, indeed. And so you have to find the right balance as well, because it's we need everything in the spot. Yeah.
Yes, Lieselot.
Yeah, well, lately I had an experience on a study with different actors in the luxury industry, watch industry, and also suppliers like Panaterr. We had a common goal, and we achieved to realize this study. So we communicated together, we shared things together. So I can tell you, it's possible.
You can make it.
And the whole
you can
group,
do it.
And we achieved really the goal we wanted to achieve. We went very fast. In 6 months, we had done our homework. But still, if there is a common goal, and it's possible. And of course, after the COVID and the pandemic, the mentalities have changed. Everybody is aware of where we have to go. And wanting to collaborate, because together you go much more further.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We don't need to go fast, but we have to go very
far.
Fast now.
Fast and far then. But then let's go back to the other word that was used before, that was education. So I saw you being a bit like, oh, who has to educate who, you know? Does it have to come from the customers who want things and who tell them, who say we want this, or does it have to come from the brands who have to show an example, be drivers, and say, okay, this is what we can do, this is how we can do it?
Do you feel it at the customer level? Do you feel that they're really inclined, they're asking more questions about it, they're really concerned, they really care, and it does make a difference in your bottom line, in your sales?
We need to be proactive. I mean, very honestly, I think the brands, and I'm talking, you know, about Chopard, I'm not talking about the other brands, of course, but for Chopard, of course, when we observe that in our shop, so we train also the sales team to really also be able to share the message on ethical gold, which is a very important message for us. It's part of the brand today, and it's part of the strategy also. So they are very well trained to pass on this message. So what we observe is just in stores, like people do not necessarily ask first, but we have to speak about the topic.
To show, yeah.
And when we speak about a topic, so you know they become very interested, and then the dialogue is is starting. So definitely, I think I agree with this person that indeed the responsibility also comes from the brand to speak about it. Yeah.
I was reading an article saying among customers the attitude is often do as I say, not as I do, meaning it's the blue dial syndrome, whispers one retailer. That was in the article. Everyone loves the new watch with the electric blue dial, but when it comes to handing over the money, it will always be for a white dial and black crocodile strap. So do we really see that people want these things with recycled materials, or they just say, oh yeah, it's so good, but they're not buying it actually? Because when it comes to money, you want the real deal.
I think the next generation of buyers are coming of age and of wealth, where they're going to be able to really make a difference. The older generation, I'm not sure they're so looking at, they're less aware, and they don't look that much about the problem. But the new generation, your next customers are going to be asking more and more about it, and are going to be asking difficult questions that brands need to be prepared to answer, because brands are accountable for sustainable sourcing. Brands are accountable for their impact on the environment, and brands have to take action now. And eventually, the customers, the younger generation that are coming, are going to be asking about it. So you have to be prepared. You're working on it, and the whole industry has to be prepared for that.
It will be a must.
If you don't feel the pinch now, you will definitely feel it.
No,
in a bit.
We cannot afford to wait. That's
exactly.
For sure on many levels, but on the customer side, we cannot, afford to wait and see, what questions will. And I think Chopard had made this decision for many years to be proactive on that. And
Lieselotte, how do you see it on your point of view?
Well, for us, the big challenge was really to demonstrate that if we going into a circular economy. Was not just to do an ecological step. First of all, our goal was to be economically viable and to offer an eco-responsible product, even in the luxury market, at the same price as the standard. The example is stainless steel, but still, we achieved this goal. And
so you can actually say, yeah, it works, because we have the facts, we have the figures.
Yes, Of course, we are tackling the metallurgic industry because we are coming up with an eco-responsible product at the same price. And it's biocompatible, it's anti-allergic, we have certification, so who doesn't want this kind of material? But we achieved to be competitive in our price because we have, in constructing this solar furnace, which will be inaugurated in September, we are generating different revenues about this whole solar center. And that's the way we achieve the fact that we can deliver a competitive price because we are earning having different
cycle.
revenues.
Yeah. But then it means that you have a long-term vision from the start. When you started with this project, you had to think about the whole thing from the start to the end,
Yes.
what we were saying at the
Yes.
beginning of the show. So I think it's a must. Can we do that now? Just as a sign, oh, we're going to do something good for the planet, but it's not a whole process, you know? I don't think so.
No, but there are things and revenues we would never have imagined we could get from this concept. So,
Meaning maybe at the beginning you had to spend, to go on researches, to spend time on this
yes,
as well?
yes, we have spent some money to invest, of course, but today we are serious enough. And we are really getting help from the Confederation of Switzerland, from the Energy and Environmental Federal Office of Switzerland that supports us with subventions to achieve where we want to go. Of course, it's not enough, but we will get there.
So what are the next goals?
Well, the next goal is to inaugurate the first solar furnace designed for the Microtech area in Switzerland. And I can tell it today because it's official. We will remelt our material in La Chaux-de-Fonds. And the next step is that we will be building a solar center, probably in La Chaux-de-Fonds. To scale up the industrialization of those different materials.
And can you scale it even upper, if I can say so? Would that be meaning that one day you can have this kind of oven worldwide?
Yes, it's a replicable concept, so we can duplicate it anywhere in the world, depending on the industry and the needs of the countries and what they have to recycle, because we have to revalorize the volume of waste they are using in their country. So,
Benjamin, do you think we need more of these initiatives?
Absolutely. It's difficult to adopt for gold, even though in principle it's great, but it's difficult to adopt with gold because the circular economy of gold is more complicated than stainless steel. But definitely it's something to work on. I think increasing the part of recycled gold in our sourcing is key for the future because it reduces the impact so much more than any other initiative. So that's definitely one of the key issues for a sustainable sourcing. I still believe that a better value distribution within the system is also a key element to get more people on board and to scale up to where we need to be. So I think we have some good leads to explore.
Yeah, we are actually slowly coming to an end. Would you have a word for the end that you would like to deposit here today?
No, I think it's a very good sign. Also, what my colleague here said, that's it's coming also to a normal price. I mean, being sustainable is being the normal as well. So I think that's a very good positive sign as well. So that we do not have any excuse not to buy, not to source from these materials as well. But yeah, so we'll continue our journey to sustainable luxury, and we still have lots of remaining challenges.
Never give up, as Liselotte
never
said.
give
Yeah, well, no, I would just want to say that we have to build a future for the generations to come, and to make their future really, a future with a positive impact, and that they can go further. That's really important.
And I would say that if we want to achieve that, really, everybody has to come on board at some point. Everybody has to show that they're really committed to doing it, and the only way to do it is to all come together. I know it's a big step for the industry, but it has to be done.
Pull at the same rope.
Yes, all together, and we'll make it.
Okay, let's turn one more time to Pascal with maybe a last set of questions for the end of this debate.
Yes, absolutely. We've spoken a lot about raw material sourcing, but I have a couple of questions about short circuit for sourcing, actually. I could summarize it like this. So Swiss made only covers 60% of the provenance. What about the rest? Meaning parts that would be sourced not in the next part of the Jura, but probably coming from other parts, remote parts of the world. Would it make an impact if we could shorten the the supply of these parts?
Who would like to answer?
And this is very important. Of course, I think it is part of the probably the climate change strategy as well, is to avoid outsourcing parts or production to the other end of the world. So I think it's a business that's still very local. We use a lot of we work with a lot of suppliers, subcontractors in local areas. So that's a very interesting business for that, quite sustainable for that. But we still have, again, some work to do by sourcing in a more local countries or
And
regions.
it also brings independence. The more you work locally, the more independent you are. So that's something, the recent news have shown us, and COVID has shown us that we cannot be dependent from people from the other side of the world, because it's our business. So the closer you keep it to yourself, the more independent you are.
For sure, and we talk a lot about traceability. We talk about controlling your supply chain. So of course, this is also an advantage. To
Do
have
we
people
have
for-
enough sourcing close by?
I believe we do, but I'm not in the brands.
Depends.
backshop.
Depends on the material. There are so many materials we use, key raw materials. We know that again, gold we source from South America, from Peru and Colombia, because it's specific projects. It's difficult to have this type of projects in Jura, for instance. But probably difficult. But
around 50 kilometers square, so we are just local.
But
that's
yes,
the
but
problem,
for
yeah.
other key raw materials, again, if you talk about color gemstones, same story also. So for raw materials, it's really more complicated. For, I guess, semi-finished products,
So you
watch
have
parts.
to
That's
find
of
the
course,
right
you
balance
have
in
to find
between.
the right balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on the materials you use.
That's also, yeah, absolutely.
And maybe it could be a change of material as well.
Could be. Who knows? We'll keep that for the next debate.
All right, all right. Just turning to Pascal, I think he doesn't have any more questions. That's it for today, Pascal, right? Exactly. Well, I would like to thank you all for being with us today and for sending all these positive messages, because as we've understood, we can do it. I've heard that somewhere, I don't know where. Sorry, it's just a joke. So if we can make a summary of the day, sustainable sourcing represents the bulk of the environmental and social impact. Therefore, it's a must to act. It's not an option anymore. Collaboration is key on the whole supply chain. We have understood that as well. And solutions exist. You have proved it. And the industry has the power and the responsibility to do it and to set an example that will show the way for everyone. So thank you very much, Pauline Eveco from Chopard, Liselotte Turing from Panaterr, and Benjamin Tesser, our journalist. journalist
pleasure.
today and expert today on this panel. Of course, panel sessions will keep on going. We'll meet again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Swiss time for our next panel, and this is going to be about sustainable innovations. So be sure to tune in. Thank you for watching us today. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.